Somewhere far in the Texas grass fields, an autonomous network took shape.
We have a massive opportunity right now. The past year has proven that a lot of the systems that we've relied on for a lot of our lives are not as resilient as we've been led to think, and therefore new systems are required.
It showed the world that we can coexist and explore new avenues of building our own future in a time of uncertainty following the Great Reset.
One group of people will move further into the system. You'll have more centralized authority. They will become more ruled over by the Amazons and Walmarts and governments of the world, while another group would reject the system and would seek to move outside of it and to create new systems.
This land of integration, nature, and humanity's innovation has been named ARRA.
We felt that it is important to be the venue for people to gather in responsible ways, to where we still can remember what networking is all about and what are those values that people bring to each other.
This is a story of what a peaceful revolution of human values, consciousness, and technology truly looks like.
We are the Internet of Money. The Internet of Money is not going away. It is not being centralized. It is forever open source, permissionless, and anyone can access it, and that's only going to increase in size and scope.
The financial players that are getting into Bitcoin and other alt currencies are doing it because they've realized that they've missed out on some of the biggest gains of any assets in the marketplace.
As we redefine value, co-creation, and abundance, we now have a chance to look up towards the stars.
Inspiring millions of people around the world to look up at the sky and say, we can go there. Because we all know what happens when people are in space and they look back at our pale blue dot, this small tiny planet with no true borders. You look down and see the Earth and realize we're all part of the same family on this very small rock in the blackness of space.
With autonomy, unity, and technology, we can ascend the matrix and do things we never thought possible.
I'm glad that I achieved what I thought was impossible and I was scared to do. Like, sometimes when I'm scared to go in a dark room without my parents. One day when I was 3 years old, I just went in a dark room, went real quick, and I got something and I ran out. And then that's when I wasn't scared anymore.
The future is now. Together with SuperWorld, Eden, DecentraNet, Ahura AI, Firefly Aerospace, and GrowBank presents ARRA Global. Welcome to the Global Autonomous Network. My name is Miguel Francis-Santiago. I've been blessed and humbled to document the story of disruptive technologies for over 4 years now. This invitation in the post-COVID world was my opportunity to cover an innovation summit 60 miles out from Austin, in the middle of Texas. I went there alone, without my team, and had one of the most profound experiences at a conference, which allowed me to film, capture, and interact with this very grounding journey at the presence of Mother Gaia, our planet, the trees, the campfires, and the amazing people. This is my trip to ARRA, through the lens of the Future Is Now film series.
We've been getting together around campfires and talking and strategizing and making ideas for tens of thousands of years or hundreds of thousands of years as humans. We've been getting together in Sheraton conference rooms for like 40 years. And I think this way is a lot better. And so it's so wonderful to work with Irina, to see her vision come to life and to do everything I can to really facilitate so that we can bring these people together and share and build and create. People can really connect here. And it's really wonderful to be a part of that.
My friend and soul sister, Irina Litchfield, and her husband Justin together with their whole family, have erected a beacon of autonomy, a regenerative farming expose that brings people together under one goal: co-create and integrate technology while building a global autonomous network. ARRA brought together futurists and technologists of the highest caliber, not just from the world of blockchain, but also AI, food, sound healing, and the final, yet never-ending frontier, our cosmos and space. Eric Salwan of Firefly Aerospace.
Our company just completed a $75 million Series A at a $1 billion valuation. And one of the folks that came into that Series A, I met through a friend that I met at ARRA. And those are the types of relationships that you can create when you have these deep personal connections with people in an environment that not everything is overwhelming. So, I mean, I think we might have been like the first big deal that came out of ARRA, which to me is incredible. I'm sure there's going to be many, many more.
Bryan Talebi of Ahura AI.
When you work in a factory, you don't want to be creative. You're working on a factory line doing the same thing over and over, and that's what's required. In our new global paradigm, that is not what we need. We need creativity. We need people to be able to work in groups collaboratively. We need people to look at new ways of thinking about things to change the world, and our education system needs to be aligned with that.
Hrish Lotlikar of SuperWorld.
We're building SuperWorld, and SuperWorld's a virtual world in augmented reality mapped on top of the real world. And, I'll tell you, first of all, our why is to build a better world, is to empower anyone to create their SuperWorld.
Bart Womack of Eden Grow Systems.
What we've done at Eden is we've taken space-age technology that's designed for people to be able to live off-world, and we've taken those systems and we're modularizing it and turning it into different components and bringing it down to Earth. So when our full system is put together, it gives you the ability to have your own energy, your own water, recycle all of your own waste, and produce all of your own food.
Matt McKibbin of DecentraNet.
We generally just like to leverage our network in a high-level strategic way of helping an already very competent team grow and scale. And we'd like to take a piece of the company and be successful when the company is successful. Align incentives. All the blockchain industry is all about aligning incentives with the stakeholders of the network. And so we align our incentives with companies and really just help them get introduced to our crypto OG network, if you will.
Meagan Crawford of SpaceFund and Daryl DiPietro of Future Stuff Incorporated.
The moral of the story is that there's all the opportunity to create new governance systems, new types of communities, based on everything that we've learned over 10,000 years of human civilization. How can we make the best possible civilization without any constraints, without any bounds? You can go to space and set all of that up without any background or history to slow you down.
What she wants to do in space starts with this. You need a community of people that will rely on each other and support each other, that have the knowledge and the resources to execute.
Tuning in digitally from abroad, Salavat Abdullin of Swiss-based GrowBank.
A classical bank today uses your $100 for its own goals, to buy some blue chips or stocks, buy or sell or do some brokerage deals, etc. And then they return and exchange or loan this very same $100 to the next client. However, during this process, the classical bank is using my personal $100. We do something different. We simply guarantee the liquidity of the safekeeping of this $100.
A few more surprise appearances by way of virtual participation also included Alex Mashinsky, the CEO of Celsius, one of the most used DeFi tools out there, and Gary Fowler, a serial AI entrepreneur, the godfather of AI from Silicon Valley. ARRA was bubbling, not just with innovators, but also artists. People from all backgrounds came to experience this co-creation of the future, making it a unique blend of space, AI, food, NFTs, but with one underlying fundamental behind all of it that I've never seen to be so empirical before, and that is blockchain governance and the concept of decentralization.
There was one day where I had to express myself, and I didn't have any paintbrushes. I had paint in my hands. I started painting with my hands on a piece of wood I found. I'd rotate the wood, and I realized it was a whole new dimension. And so I would rotate and paint. It was really kind of an art therapy, which eventually turned into a visual prayer where I would put positive affirmations on the canvas, like words for world peace, happy, healthy, wealthy, well, heaven on earth, and eventually would paint into that, and it would turn into these other dimensions and these portals.
Obviously, the purpose behind so many products and services that are being built in this space is to make humanity as a whole better and to open up things to people, again, who have been kept out of all kinds of financial systems and all the like.
It's been happening. We've got a layer of global economy that seems to be growing in a way that's untouchable by the old institutions, like another layer that's growing over the earth that's kind of connects us all. And it's always been what I wanted for us as people, to be, you know, hyper connected and valued to be able to move where it deserves to go.
ARRA had its debut in November 2020. It cut through the pandemic with a safe and successful gathering that reincarnated for the second time in early summer of 2021. Innovators of the future brought forth some of the most prevalent ideas I've ever had the pleasure to listen to. Bart Womack of Eden Grow Systems exposed the new reality of food and the importance of decentralizing this basic, inherent right that belongs to all of us here on this abundant green planet.
Can anyone tell me who the #1 farmland owner in the United States is today?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. Now, who's the #1 buyer of defunct commercial real estate in the United States right now? Jeff Bezos. If you want to preserve your wealth, if you want to preserve your family, if you want to preserve your freedom and the ability to make your own choices, it begins with creating your own food. It begins with taking that destiny back into your hands.
Throughout much of 2020, the world and most of all America has seen one of the biggest divisive modern events running alongside the black swan of COVID. Little did we know that the ultimate counter to much of this upheaval starts by taking control of your own food production.
The ability for the people to control their own food, water, and power means you're empowering those communities. You want to empower marginalized communities? Let them grow their own food. Give them their own energy. They do not need your help other than helping set that up. You set that. They don't need charity. They don't need a universal basic income. They need the ability to take care of themselves without anybody else infringing upon them. There will be more X events. There will be more black swan events. And the one thing that you can count on is that the powerful, the governments, the banks, all of these institutions, their only solution, whatever side of the economic or political spectrum you're on, they will only ever have one solution, which is to give up your authority and your power to them. What we represent in Eden is the rejection of that idea, and we say with each new event, we must divest ourselves from those systems. We don't want to be controlled. We don't want to give up all of our rights and in exchange have everything supplied for us. We want to supply for ourselves and retain all of that human freedom and dignity. This is the first component in a modular survival system that allows you to be fully self-sustaining. This is the food element of the system that allows you to grow root vegetables and fruiting vegetables on an automated scale without you ever having to know anything about farming or committing more than 1 hour a week and 5 minutes a day to watching and making sure the system maintains itself. And over time, as we perfect the system, robotics, artificial intelligence will be integrated into the system that'll make it even more productive. The more we use the system, the more customers that are utilizing the system over time, the smarter the system becomes at regulating itself.
Eden Grow Systems presents NASA technology directly to the consumer. It is with these very same aeroponics that astronauts on the ISS have been growing and eating fresh vegetables for years.
There's going to be people that choose to go into the system willingly. There's going to be people that choose to go into the system through apathy. To be a real human being and to live in power and dignity requires effort, and it will require you making the decision that you want to do that. And it all begins, it begins even by educating yourself. If you don't have the resources, start learning about the alternatives, and you will find a passion and you will find the thing that fits you, that you have the resources and the time to get into. But it all begins with choice.
If you look throughout history at developing nations, every dictator or central power that comes into power, whether you're looking at the Stalinists or theocrats in Iran or others, the first thing they do is they go after the scholars and the educated population. And one of the things they focus on is reducing the educational attainments of their population, because that limits the creative thought and intelligentsia and their ability to push back against policies that aren't ideal or unfair, that enrich a small subset of the population against others. And of course, we see that in the United States in certain subsets of the political spectrum. At Ahura, our focus is to provide as much education as possible to everyone around the world. What happens when we 10x the number of researchers and scientists and crypto folks and entrepreneurs and engineers and coders? We can actually solve all of the problems we face by unlocking the intellectual and educational capital of the human race. And so at Ahura AI, we focus on using artificial intelligence to hyper-personalize educational content delivery based on the unique needs of that individual, for people to be able to keep up with changing technologies and changing dynamics of the world.
Bryan Talebi of Ahura AI is pioneering one of the most intricate parts of this autonomy: education and knowledge. The goal of the company is to become the trusted platform for knowledge training and to foster a learning culture worldwide for competitive edge.
So we collect over 10,000 biometric data points every second from every user to identify the optimal way of delivering educational content based on an individual's unique needs in that moment. Whether it's text-based, experiential, video-based, or even within video. It turns out that when you're watching a person speak and listening to them teach you something, their accents, their tempo, the way they speak, the stories they tell, their gender, their race, their ethnicity, their sartorial decisions, even the background, all have an impact on your ability to pay attention, learn, and retain that information. And so we use deepfakes to have every different type of individual, both CGI created as well as famous people, explain the material and have that content be delivered in a way that optimizes a person's ability to learn, that ultimately increases the speed of learning by 3 to 5x.
The integration of technology through nature, human compassion, and the idea of building a global autonomous network inspired me in a surreal way that I haven't experienced before. Irina and Justin truly built something amazing here, and I was grateful for becoming a small part of it.
Well, Justin certainly has he should get the title of the best husband of the world.
Well, I mean, obviously, no, but he didn't. I was trying to make him a partner, but he said, it's my thing, and
It's your superpower.
Well, it is my superpower, okay? I mean, ARRA is Irina's world. It's what I see. To me, basically, what I figured out is that, nobody's gathering. People are scared. They're just really are lost at home. And I thought, you know what? Since nobody's doing it, I have the land. Let's just do it. And that's been fascinating to see people come from all over and not knowing each other from the different industries, different walks of life, and integrate in such a beautiful way. And I do believe that it has a lot to do with the fact that we are outdoors and we are ready to do things in a different way, in a healthier way, when Yes, we can bring our kids to an event. We can have an innovations summit where global stage speakers can gather together and our kids running around and transferring chickens in a little side by side. That's the most amazing thing because they're listening to us and they're hearing to us. And you know, today the most rewarding thing for me was when the little kid asked the question about he tried to understand the system of a banking.
What does he do with the money with his company?
Okay.
We don't do anything with your money in our company. We simply give people an understanding that they can feel confident in tomorrow, that there will be no bank or a centralized crypto exchange that can come and confiscate your money. A new neobank has come forward, declaring, "Dear people, just act with decency and honor, shake hands, and enjoy my platform, my web interface, my app, and in return, I can promise you that I will be the guarantor of your finances and trades between each other." You can easily pay your bills, pay your mobile service through a QR code, pay for anything from a coffee to a Gulfstream Superjet 550. Let's just start being more honest with ourselves, towards each other, and to society. If this sounds good to you, then you can unlock a series of capabilities within our neobank that we developed over the past 4 years. And then the users can see for themselves that the classical banking model is no more. And now there's a new financial model, which, by the way, doesn't interfere with the central banks or regulators anywhere in the world. We simply provide new operational possibilities by acting as a sort of safeguard, a guarantor of liquidity to your personal and business finance.
GrowBank has a classic EMI and FCA banking license, and its users are protected by Swiss law, supporting over 20 most popular cryptocurrencies and being available even in countries that do not have crypto regulation. GrowBank is breaking through the barriers and tendencies of traditional banking, providing a financial system that stems from concepts of abundance rather than scarcity. Having Salavat Abdullin tune in from Eastern Europe to be a part of this autonomous network showed how truly global a ranch of integration and technology in the middle of Texas can be.
There was this guy who was someday going to have a bookstore. And one of the book collections that he was selling from included The High Frontier. His name was Jeff Bezos. His graduation speech, he basically said, "I'm going to make money, and then I'm going to build settlements in space." That's the point I'm trying to make with these folks, right? This is not rich boys and their toys. This is not the next thing after I've got a jet, oh, I've got an island, oh, I've got a space company.
Rick Tumlinson, the co-founder of several space companies, including the Space Frontier Foundation, which Jeff Bezos took an inspiration from, makes a point that even though private space travel is currently being spearheaded by the so-called oligarchs, many of them did have this goal set from the get-go. And according to Meagan Crawford, a colleague of Rick's over at SpaceFund, there's certainly a point to this.
My life goal is to make humanity multiplanetary and permanent human settlement of space. But here's the thing, nobody stays until somebody pays. We have flags and footprints from the original Apollo missions, but nobody stayed. And so how do you get a sustainable off-world ecosystem going? There's got to be an economic reason to be there. And so that's what I'm going to spend my life doing, is building the economics, starting from low Earth orbit and working my way out to a cislunar economy and then eventually to a Mars economy.
The next frontier of economy is going to be created in space. The government wants to disaggregate space. They want to decentralize space. They want commercial industry to become the biggest player in space. The government doesn't want to support all of these space companies anymore. So decentralization and disaggregation is a primary function of the new space movement. Just how we're trying to make space for everyone at Firefly, I think crypto is going to help decentralize finance and give people that haven't had a stake in the financial industry, now they're going to be able to have that stake that they need to raise themselves up.
As we searched for parallels between decentralization of space and decentralization of finance, we met Eric Salwan from Firefly Aerospace, which is an end-to-end transportation company that provides space services from low Earth orbit to the surface of the moon and beyond, using their Alpha launch vehicle, space utility vehicle, and Blue Ghost lunar lander. Firefly has also gotten a $93 million contract from NASA to go to the moon in 2023. Firefly's vision is making space for everyone.
I got into the space industry because I had a very good friend that was one of the early SpaceX employees, and then he went on to work for Jeff Bezos at Blue Origin, Richard Branson at Virgin Galactic, and in 2014 he told me, hey, I'm starting my own rocket company, and it's very difficult to build rockets. Chances of success are not good. I knew this guy 30 years, Tom Markusic, and I knew that out of the 5 or 10 people in the world that could potentially do it, he's one of them. We recently got an award from NASA for $93.3 million to build a lunar lander. So I talked to people about selling space on our lunar lander so that they could take their payloads to the moon. And it is incredibly fascinating to just hear what people are trying to do with space, which is this next frontier of not only the information revolution, but the next frontier of economy is going to be created in space.
Space is filled with surprises, and you never know if an asteroid's going to hit you or something bad will happen. I think space is cool, but I never want to go up to it, because I've heard that people have died there, and people have tried to go in black holes. They never return, and space never ends, and I don't want to find out what's on the other side of space.
I'd hope that some of the technologies that we're building on the blockchain will be recognized by institutions as a way to similarly provide value. I think you're seeing this in the NFT space with digital assets, right? Artists are getting power, creators are getting power and ownership over content. The bigger players have to allow that to happen if they want to play with the influencers and the creators and the artists who are doing a lot of things to beautify the world.
What's fascinating about Hrish Lotlikar's SuperWorld, an augmented reality world mapped on top of our world, is that you can put any content anywhere on our planet and interact with it in the most exciting ways possible. This is another true testament to autonomy and new systems of governance that do not interfere with the current system.
If I come to a city anywhere in the world, you could say, hey, check out my world, and I could walk around and you've left me things. You've left a hologram of yourself somewhere. I can talk to you. You've left photos and videos in different places. You've left messages at your favorite restaurants about what I should eat and drink. You've personalized the real world in augmented reality. So it's a combination between Pokemon Go, which is an analogy for adding digital information to the real world, meets Foursquare, which is a data analogy. In that analogy, I would say that it's very important for us at SuperWorld to, allow our super citizens to have data sovereignty and data monetization and permission data. We want to build a better world. So what we've done is we've divided the surface of the Earth into 64 billion virtual blocks. Each block occupies a city block of land covering the Earth. And if you own that block, you get a share of any of the economics that happens on that block. But the big idea is, how can we build a world that empowers everyone to create their super world and improve their real life?
Solutions like these were all too present at ARRA, and the time was perfect as the loom of COVID passports, new restrictions and limitations was on the horizon. The black swan of COVID-19 that Bart Womack talked about earlier echoed in the words of one of the advisors at Eden Grow Systems, Matt McKibbin of DecentraNet. While his wife, Brittany Kaiser, former Cambridge Analytica whistleblower and the founder of Own Your Own Data Foundation, has been working at the forefront of creating change in the US government policies surrounding this new paradigm of digital data.
50% of all dollars that are in existence have been printed in the past year. A lot of really powerful people are looking at that and saying, this isn't a good situation. And so these decentralized tools got a really massive increase in their people looking at them as an alternative to the mainstream systems. The transition to the new system has begun. Everyone talks about, you know, there's an app for that back in the day for iPhones. Well, now there's going to be a DApp for that. It's going to be all the decentralized finance ones, property registration, all the governance tools that most of the governments in the world are really bad at doing. Their governments are pretty bad at actually providing services to us that help us govern ourselves in general. And so we're going to see an exponential increase in the ability for us to govern ourselves on a worldwide accounting ledger, the Internet of Agreements, and just make all of that really transparent and enforceable and accountable for the first time. This next decade is going to see the most amount of people actually get serviced by the system, the greatest transfer of wealth from centralized Wall Street, you know, banking into the actual creators of the wealth, the least extractive methodologies for wealth transfer, which is value accrues and inures to the people that create it in the network.
Now, on the legislative and regulatory front, what I've been helping doing is legislative drafting, writing new laws, writing amendments for the laws that govern our digital assets. And that has meant everything from defining our digital content as intangible personal property so that we actually have ownership rights, and defining how that can be traded, bought, sold, what are the rule sets around that, how that technology can actually be developed in business, how it can be used in banking, and all of that is incredibly important to the growth of the industry, of course.
With the introduction of the COVID passport, in order to make our life experience less bureaucratic, more dynamic, free-flowing, but with the digital dollar potentially being attached to it as a centralized digital currency, and then the government all of a sudden getting access to your body, perhaps for the next pandemic or however many COVID vaccines you will need, are we giving up too much for this freedom together with technological advancement?
I personally, I don't care. I don't think about that. I think about innovations. I think about integration. I think about things that I can personally do to make sure that I create better reality for myself. And as a side, as a result of that, I see that it positively affects people around me.
I love that you asked about vaccine passports, especially. I've been looking at writing laws around that for the past couple months. I helped write the first coronavirus contact tracing data protection law for the US government that basically says you have purpose limitation. If you're going to collect data from people for public health, you can't then, for instance, share that with law enforcement that could use it to target peaceful protesters. So vaccine passports have a lot of risks. I would say unless we know what we're signing up to, we know what our rights are, we know that our data isn't going to be used or abused for the wrong purposes, then I think it's still too early for us to start using some of those systems without expecting negative repercussions.
So the COVID passport, I think, is very much a previous generation's technocrats' just absolute dream come true. Like, they've got this lever to power that they can wield, and it's a miracle. It's a gift from God. They're like, okay, we can now track all these people and all these things because they think that that can be helpful. I think it's a previous generation technocracy sort of thing. I think that technocracy in general is an interesting word. It's got a lot of baggage because that last generation has done so much damage with that. I think that we will be ruled through technology, absolutely, but it's not going to be, you know, Hillary Clinton sitting around making decisions, you know, as like a prototypical technocrat, you know, pushing these decisions down. We will see a much more bottom-up technocracy, if you will, and it's going to look entirely different, and that's going to be wonderful. I don't think that the COVID passport thing will get the traction that people want it to. Even though we've given up so much freedom, we're going to hit the breaking point for humans, and it will just start getting rejected.
I would love for you to remember that you are important, and you are the most important person in the whole wide world. And it's okay to be scared, and it's okay to see darkness, and still remember that you are the most important. My wish for you is to come back to reality with a new understanding of what it's like to be. Find the now moment in your life and enjoy each other's company. Be productive.
Do business with companies that reflect your values, because we as a species, we as the leaders, the innovators, it's up to us to create the earth of the future and the society of the future, and we do it one decision at a time, one moment at a time, and it's up to us. There's nobody else.
You have to surround yourself with people that have an excitement for the future, and there's no guarantee of success, but there is a guarantee that you'll be working with amazing people and trying to have an impact that will last beyond your lifetime.
I'm so pleased to be here and be co-creating with so many people who have been dedicating themselves to finding new ways to run our world in a more equitable way. So really happy to be here with a lot of like-minded individual thinkers, and especially to have this sense of community in a time where most of us have been apart for a while.
Enjoy the journey, try to learn and share, because we're on the precipice of a new kind of revolution here. It's exciting.
We have to understand that if we just give a bit more love, a bit more respect, not just towards the market or ourselves, but towards the people around us, then our values will quantify. And a bit more good-heartedness sure helps too. I think from that, the world in turn will cease to be this downgraded society, while the financial model of the world will cease to divide people among a society of classes.
I think the most important thing to take away is that your freedom and your independence is in your hands. Every single day, you can do something to make yourself more independent and more free, or you can sit on the couch and watch Netflix. And it's been so gratifying to take this time to really just buckle down and do the work. It's a lot of work, but your freedom, your independence is worth the work, because then every single human connection you have will be more rich, because you can show up as your entire self, and everybody will be better off. And I'm so looking forward to seeing all of you.
Welcome to the societal reformation here, the monetary reformation, where we're open sourcing the institution of money, which is a really exciting time in history, and then eventually the institution of governance. Open sourcing those two institutions is going to eradicate as much corruption as possible. It's going to allow for new creative models of designing our money systems and regenerative types of communities, and it's fundamentally going to give the power to the people to self-govern and create systems of the future. So I'd say welcome, start educating yourself every day, and have optimism.
I think the people that are the most afraid of this are the ones that want to maintain the control. If you want to create a better world, you have to just go and create the better world. You don't take over the old world. You grow out of the ashes of the old world as it consumes and destroys itself. A good idea needs no army. It needs no champion. It itself will persevere and overcome over time, as long as there are people that are willing to believe in it and see the truth of it.
That all value systems, all of them, are all just a proxy for love. So no matter how much money you have, no matter how much freedom you have, all of those are just trying to take the place of all of the love that you feel you want and you deserve all of it. And it's all available to you. And I love you. I haven't even met you yet.
And here we were, a network of futurists, together in person, in this post-COVID world, understanding the essence of our tribe, our humanity, our future, building systems that can upgrade our community, our society, and our planet. The longing for this to take place has been yearning in each of our hearts. We simply want to be above the psyops, the narrative control, the divide and conquer. We just want to build and show that the only way to truly go through any outdated, detrimental system is not to battle it or be upset over it, but to build alternatives and expose them to the world. Those who listen to understand and C to remember but will notice. This was and will be ARRA, with the next gathering happening in November 2021. The Community of Integration, now a part of the Global Autonomous Network. I'm Miguel Francis-Santiago, and I will see you on the next adventure as we build the future together.
I don't know. Uplifting. Uplifting? Okay. Right? Yeah.
You don't have to, though. Cool. Yeah. Talk about it later. Yeah.
We're so completely loved and supported in all ways and always. We feel like we have won the lottery in every area of our lives. We are the luckiest ones in the world. Come on. Peace on earth and heaven on earth is now. Hey, it's so easy, baby, gonna show them how. Oh, happy, healthy, wealthy, and well. We're feeling so good, can't you tell? Oh, making lots of art. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy rebirth. You know that it's worth it. Got so much love, feeling perfect. Hey, in the gallery, we're making salary by spreading love, and it's easy to me, and it's easy to you, cause it's fun to be with creativity time, in my free time, and it's got so much love, and you know that my whole tribe's here. I love you, my dear.